Joining us now, we have Michael Whatley, who, of course, is the head of the Republican National Committee. Michael, this is Rita Cosby. It's great to have you here. Also, John Katzimatidis, Judge Weinberg, Rudy Washington, and Ed Cox. We got a great studio here. Michael, first of all, what do you make of now? There's a second media organization saying that Biden, quote, told an ally he's weighing whether to continue in the race. Where do you see this headed?
You know, the funny thing is that we've really never seen anything like this. And we've certainly never seen anything like this in the era of a 24-hour news cycle and social media where there's so many different people coming from so many different contexts. You know, and for 3 years, this White House was really pretty good at being leak-free. And all of a sudden, man, everybody wants to talk. Everybody's getting their stories in. There's leaking all over the place. And it's really fascinating from a process story to kind of watch how this thing is playing out. But you know, I keep coming back to the fact that we're 125 days out from an election. And we've got the future of the country is at stake. This is not a parlor game. And Donald Trump is doing everything right. He is running a very disciplined campaign. He is reaching out to every voter. He's reaching out to voters in the Bronx. He's reaching out to voters in New Jersey. He did a fundraiser in San Francisco that raised $12 million a couple of weeks ago. So he's working on offense everywhere. And then we have the debate of a lifetime, and he absolutely hit a home run. He hit every single mark that he needed to hit. And you compare that to the meltdown that we're seeing on the Democratic side of the aisle. It's really remarkable. You know, I've said for a year now, this election is about strength versus weakness. And man, have the last couple of weeks really shown that this is about Donald Trump's strength, not just on the debate stage, but as a candidate versus Joe Biden's weakness. And the debate just drew it out like we've never really seen before. And then his inability to kind of put a cap on all these discussions. You know, he keeps saying that he's absolutely not going to drop out, and yet all these stories are up. It just goes back to his fundamental weakness as a campaign.
Mr. Chairman, it seemed like 5 minutes after the debate, all the knives were out already. Was this? You think it was pre-planned? I mean, the New York Times was out with knives in the back of Caesar, and the CNN, MSNBC, all the knives were out.
It is pretty remarkable, and I know it'll surprise you guys that I'm not allowed in that locker room over there, either the press one or the Democrat one.
Right.
But it was amazing to me as we were going onto the spin room floor at the debate to go and talk to the press after the debate. There were no Democrats. There was no Democrat who was willing to go down there and talk to the press about Joe Biden's performance. And then finally, after about 30 minutes or so, Gavin Newsom and Raphael Warnock came out, and they issued one statement to the full gaggle of all of the press, and then they left. I've never seen anything like it, and it was clear nobody wanted to try to defend his performance in that debate.
Michael, did you notice who did? It was Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris went out there and said, I'll defend him. And now there's talk today. I don't know if you heard, we were just saying that Corinne Jean-Pierre was saying she may be the future of the party. You know, she is.
Well, she's applying for the job when.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, also some big news just coming out here, Michael. There's a new Wall Street Journal poll that just came out, and it's Biden 42, Trump 48. That's a big increase also from the last Wall Street Journal poll and some of the other polls. I saw another one. I think it was 43-48. This is 42-48. Biden versus Trump getting 48% in a national poll. So these numbers are definitely bearing it out. Are you seeing the same thing for President Trump post, even pre-debate? He had the momentum, but it seems like it's skyrocketing after the debate.
We are. And look, we're seeing it because the president is playing offense in this campaign, because he is delivering a very clear, very concise message that he is the one who is going to restore the southern border. He's going to restore our economy, and he's going to restore our standing in the world. And Joe Biden is just absolutely not delivering any coherent message other than he's going to double down on his failed policies, which really, truly, when you think about what has Joe Biden brought us as the president of the United States, he's unleashed inflation, and our gasoline prices are up 55%. Our grocery prices are up 20%. It costs twice as much to buy a home today. The American voters don't want that. He has unleashed the invasion of our southern border, 10, 15 million illegal immigrants who've come across the border. We don't know who they are. We don't know where they are. We don't know what they're doing.
I think the American people are getting the pulse. I think the American people are getting the pulse that he has no clue what's really going on.
Yeah, well, and it's also important to note that of all of these conversations about other candidates, whether it's Kamala Harris or Gavin Newsom or Gretchen Whitmer, none of them are going to walk back his policies. They are all going to adopt the exact same policies that he has been on over the last 4 years. There is nobody on the left who looks at what Joe Biden has done and says, I would do it differently. They're all marching to the same tune, and that's why none of them are a threat to Donald Trump. We saw the polling earlier this week that was a head-to-head matchup of Donald Trump versus every one of these candidates, and he was beating every one of these candidates.
Oh, wow. Anything else you want to tell the American people?
Well, look, what I want to tell the American people is that we are continuing with the Trump campaign and the RNC to roll up our sleeves and go to work. We understand right now there is a lot of confusion and a lot of weakness that we're seeing play itself out on the Democratic side of the aisle. But for the American voters, they don't want to see this. They don't want to see weakness. They don't want to see confusion. What they want is a president who is going to make America great again. What they want is lower inflation. They want a secure border. They want lower gas prices. And Donald Trump is the only one who is going to be able to deliver the renaissance that we need here in America. And he's going to make America great again.
And what I've said is Donald Trump is the only one tough enough to be able to make a difference.
Chairman Ed Cox here. Yeah. You may not be in their locker room, but you do know how money passes. What happens to the $200 million plus that President Biden has raised if he were to drop out of the race? Where does it go to?
Well, it's certainly gone into the Biden-Harris campaign, and that campaign would have to kind of figure out how they're going to spend, their money. But if it's going to roll over to another campaign, there are costs, there are limits, there are things that are going to have to happen on that. And you got to recognize that every single delegate that has voted in every single primary all across the country, those are bound delegates. And so, if he leaves voluntarily, then they can try and go to the floor of the convention and have a very, very bloody fight over who's going to be next. And you've got certain states, Wisconsin and Nevada among them, that say that you cannot actually transfer your delegates over to another candidate unless there's a death or incapacitation. Are you going to actually admit that there's an incapacitation here? So there's a lot going on, and this is a real mess for the Democrats.
You know what it means? A wild summer. That's what it means.
It'll be a beautiful brawl.
Yeah,
Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for coming on, and God bless America.
Well, it's great to be with all of you, and it's great to hear my good friend Ed Cox, who is just an absolutely fantastic chairman for the Republican Party up there in New York.
You're too kind, Chairman.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
Okay.